What's up, guys? Jeff here from Torpedoes and Tarantulas with another video. Tonight I'm going to kind of change it up just a little bit. I'm going to get away from the usual feeding, rehousing, and unboxing videos and get back to kind of why I started doing YouTube videos when I got into the tarantula hobby, and that was for education. When I decided to get into the hobby 2 or 3 years ago, I did a lot of research, read a lot of stuff, watched a lot of videos on YouTube about these animals before I decided. I did like a year's worth of research, I think, before I pulled the trigger on my first tarantula, who just recently died. You may know. But even 2 or 3 years ago, there was still so much misinformation and wrong information out there about care and stuff like that. And so I always said when I got a big enough collection, I would start kind of doing those care videos so that I could educate people on how to keep these animals, because they're a full-time commitment when you get one. You don't get a scorpion or a tarantula or something like that just because you think it'd be cool to have one and then you get tired of it in a few months. It's a lifetime commitment for their lifetime. So I figured I would educate those people that are serious, in keeping, about certain, species that I have. And I was on a live chat with a subscriber of mine, and also I'm subscribed to them. Really cool couple, the spider couple, uh, husband and wife, Corbin and Amber, and then their little 5-year-old girl, 6-year-old girl, Anya, gets involved, and she's really awesome with the animals, and it's really cool to see kids, excited about something besides a phone or an iPad. So they're really cool people. Like I said, go check them out. Spider couple. We were talking on their live chat, and a particular species of tarantula was brought up. She got excited, said that she'd been wanting one, but hadn't pulled the trigger because she wasn't really sure of the care requirements. I told her I had two of them, and that Tom Moran, whom she's a big fan of, uh, had done a husbandry video on this tarantula, and in fact actually convinced me that I needed one. And since then, I've been trying to convince people that they need one as well. Some of you may already know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, I sing praises on this tarantula every chance I get it on video, and it is one of my favorites. To me, considered to be the crown jewel, or at least one of the crown jewels of the hobby. That's right, I'm talking about the Harpactira pulchripes. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is I've got two of them. I'm going to show both of them, talk about basic information on this tarantula, where they're from, the size, and some of the requirements. And then I'm going to go into my personal husbandry or care experiences with these guys to help anyone out there that may have just gotten Harpactira pulchripes and they don't know how to care for it, or maybe they want one but they don't know how to care for it, so they haven't pulled the trigger, kind of like Amber. Or even if you don't know if you want one, I'm sure by the end of this video you'll be looking online for one of these guys. So here we go. Amber, this video is for you. The rest of you guys, grab a cup of hot cocoa and a blanket. Get ready. Let's do a video. Okay, so the Harpactira pulchripes, or golden blue-leg baboon, is, of course, an old world tarantula. It is from a small region in the eastern Cape of South Africa. Very small region. It is, of course, a baboon tarantula. So that means, of course, they have a more toxic venom than the New World tarantulas, plus they're faster. And, of course, they're, if disturbed enough, let me stress that, if disturbed enough, they will be quick to bite. But most of the time, they're just going to bluff and run. New Worlds have urticating hairs that they can kick. These guys don't. So their defense is to run or to stand their ground, which most of the time scares the prey off. But they're not really an aggressive species. I will get into that here in just a little bit. But right now, we're just talking about the basic information. They're about a mid-range size baboon tarantula, with females getting around 5 inches, give or take. Males, of course, being smaller most of the time. Now, there are baboon species out there that are smaller, like the Aimira, the bluefoot baboon, and then, of course, there are baboon species that are bigger than this particular species here, like the Pilanobius muticus, and some of the Ceratogyres get a little bigger than these guys here. So they're about a mid-sized baboon tarantula. They are mostly fossorial. Technically, they're fossorial in the wild, but in captivity, they're more obligate burrowers. That's kind of been my experience, but again, I will talk about that later. So, just keep that in mind. Temperature requirements aren't super special in their natural environment. They experience temperatures from 50 degrees to 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 to 24 degrees Celsius. But of course, in captivity, general rule of thumb with keeping tarantulas, if you're comfortable, the tarantula is comfortable. I keep my room at 72 degrees, thereabout, and I have all of my tarantulas in there, and they do just fine. The humidity requirements, they're not a moisture dependent species, but humidity requirements 60 to 70%, which sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, most homes themselves are 50%, at least 50% humidity. So, when they're smaller, spritz the enclosure once or twice a week. As they get larger, just refill the water dish and let it overflow a little bit. That's basically it as far as the tarantula itself, where it's from, what size it gets, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to grab some feeders, then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the care of these guys. All right, so Harpactira pulchripes care. Housing, first thing. Being as they are a terrestrial or fossorial species, of course, you want an enclosure where floor space takes precedent over height. So just keep that in mind. I've got this one here, which is a juvenile, probably 2.5 inches, and just a critter keeper. I stuck a skull in there when I rehoused it, and it's really made it like totally cool. Anyway, so just keep that in mind. Floor space. Like I said, they are fossorial in the wild. In my experience, when they are slings into about juvenile stage, they will burrow. And especially as slings, when they are disturbed, they won't hesitate to retreat to their burrow. That's the first thing they will do as soon as you touch their enclosure. When they get about this size and up bigger, they tend to stay out more. When I rehoused my adult female one of the last times, I gave her deep substrate and she never utilized it. She just kind of did like this one and her have done, just webbed around everything. So keep that in mind. You want to hide. Plenty of anchor points. You see I've got this skull, but I've also got sticks and everything around it, and it's just kind of gone crazy with it. So they do some really awesome webbing. Water requirements, food requirements are the same as just about any other tarantula when they are younger. Both of mine, when they were slings, would not take live prey. It was just weird, especially for a baboon tarantula. One of the only tarantulas that I've kept as slings that would not take down small prey. So I would have to pre-kill stuff. You can do, the cricket drumsticks, as Tom Moran calls them. Just pull the leg off of an adult cricket, throw it in, and they'll eat it. Or I actually had bought some small crickets, so I would just put them in the freezer, leave them in there for about 10 minutes, put them in the enclosure, and the next day they would be gone. When they got just a little bit smaller than this one is now, they start taking down live prey, and they become regular feeders. So, like I said, no special requirements as far as feeding. As slings, a couple of times a week, about every 3 days. When they get to this size, once a week, at least offer them food, and you don't even have to feed them that frequently. And of course, just keep a water dish in there with them so they've always got access to water. Now that we've kind of talked about a little bit about the care of them and everything, I am going to try to offer this one a roach and see what it'll do for us. Nice. Now you can kind of see why that people consider these the crown jewel of the hobby. And of course, it's going to retreat down into its burrow now and hide from us. Those beautiful colors are just so awesome that alone should be reason enough for you to want to get one. Just their gorgeous colors, plus this really cool webbing and everything. But there we go. There's that one fed. I'm going to get out my adult female now and show her off. And so here is my adult female. Most of you already know Phoebe. Um, Tom Moran convinced me in his husbandry video that I needed a Harpactira pulchripes, and I rushed out and got one. And it was actually only my second tarantula, so my first old world was a baboon. But I honestly could not have picked a better first old world in my opinion. And Tom Moran kind of said the same thing, that they do make a good beginner old world. Let's see if she's hungry. She may not be hungry. As you can see, she's quite plump. I'm hoping that she's going to be ready to molt really soon here, but she's been quite inactive. Anyhow, I bought this tarantula as a 1-inch sling, and as luck would have it, it turned out as a female. So now I'm in searching for a male. That's what I was hoping that other one was, but it might be a female as well. Okay. Temperament-wise, guys, don't let the title baboon put you off on this tarantula, because they are really one of the best baboon species as far as temperament and everything. They're pretty mild-tempered. My experience with both of these guys, and it's generally when they're getting ready to go into a pre-molt or they're in a pre-molt, they will throw up a threat posture when disturbed. Sometimes even if you're just near their enclosure, but it is always a bluff. Now see her, she's kind of throwing a threat posture there as well, just because I'm disturbing her, but it's just a bluff. And they will do that right there, that slap strike. Again, that's a warning. The last thing that she wants to do is bite. Keep in mind, when you have these guys, they don't always do this. You saw how calm she was just a minute ago. When they throw up a threat posture, just like any other tarantula, just kind of back off. But I generally experience this around pre-molt time, so I think that may be kind of why she's acting that way. I tried to feed her a few days ago and she rejected the food, so I'm hoping she's in a pre-molt. Let me see, growth rate. They are about a medium growth rate. You know, they molt pretty frequently, almost right on time, about every 30 days. Look at her. Every 30 days or so when they're smaller. And then, of course, when they're adults, they don't molt as frequently. So they are a medium growth rate tarantula. This right here, like I said, it's the worst that you're ever going to find out of this tarantula. But if you saw the colors on these guys, it's just so beautiful. They're so gorgeous. And again, for an old world and a baboon, most of the time they are pretty chill. Like I said, offer them plenty of substrate. Always offer them plenty of substrate. And then if they don't use it, do like we did here with when I did this one. I put all these sticks and plants in for anchor points, and she just kind of hangs around in that area there. Sometimes she's out and she's up here on a leaf, or she's hanging out here on top of her logs, but most of the time she's just down in there just chilling. So really awesome species. Everyone should get one. No super special requirements. They, like typical tarantula requirements. Just remember, in cases like this, when they do throw up a threat posture, just back off, or just at least keep your distance. She was not trying to bite me whatsoever. She was slapping me with those front feet, but you never want to take that chance with any tarantula, let alone a baboon tarantula. I hope that I covered everything as far as the care of these guys in this video. If there was something else that maybe I didn't cover that you might want to know about these guys, please don't hesitate to ask me about it down in the comments. Again, one more shout out to the spider couple, Corbett and Amber and Anya. Go check them out. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you will thumbs it up and comment. Maybe subscribe if you haven't done that. Share this video with your friends. Of course, take care of yourselves and each other. Say goodbye, Phoebe. Thought I could get her to strike. Check you guys later. Peace out. God bless.